How's it going, everybody? Bryan Elvers and Dave Meltzer here, Wrestling Observer Radio. It is October 8, 2019, figure4online.com/wrestlingobserver.com. Got a lot to talk about here today, including fallout from the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. On Raw tonight, there was no Seth Rollins. There was no Bray Wyatt. There was a very brief video package for that main event. I guess Bray's hurt, Sasha as well. What's the update, Dave?
Yeah, Bray's hurt, but it's not serious. He wasn't cleared, although he did do a run-in. They did a Miz and Cesaro dark match after the taping ended. I guess just an excuse for people to see Bray, because it's kind of like they did the whole show, and then what happened was Tyson Fury threw a punch at Cesaro, and Cesaro sold it like he was knocked out, and then Cesaro, just didn't, started cutting a promo, and Miz walked by, and I guess he just challenged Miz, so they had like a 5-minute match, and then that ended when Bray Wyatt came to the ring, and given that, this company knows so well how to book baby faces, Miz ran away, so Cesaro was actually the one who Bray Wyatt attacked, and then the lights went off, and then Bray Wyatt disappeared. But Sasha Banks' injury is okay. So Bray Wyatt's is not serious. Sasha Banks is not certain, I guess is the best way to put it. If it's serious or not, it's one of those deals. So I don't know when she'll be back.
Well, that's vague.
Yeah, it's very vague. There's people who know, but they won't tell me.
Well, that sounds like it's probably somewhat serious. I don't want to. That's our job is to speculate. But if no one's telling you, I think they would tell you if it wasn't serious, right? Doesn't that make sense?
Of course. When I asked if it was serious, it was like, it's unknown. So it's unknown. And whatever it is, it's not something that she wants out. So we don't know yet. It probably will get out. I was told that she's saying it's not a concussion, because obviously whenever something like this happens, my first thing is because what injuries gets covered up the most in WWE is women concussions. For whatever reason, you know how that goes. That just is always the case. Whenever there's like this mysterious thing, it always comes out a couple weeks later was a concussion. I was told in this case it's not, but, perhaps, who knows? So there you go. That's all I know.
So what did you think of this Tyson Fury appearance?
Yeah, they tried to reprise the Mike Tyson and Steve Austin thing, and obviously, you're never going to, that's like once in a lifetime thing, but for what they were trying to do, they pretty much did it perfectly. They did about as good as they were going to do with those two guys. So I thought it was, it was standard by the book. Like you could see it coming, you knew what it was, but it was done well. So it was good, not great, I guess is what I would say.
This is what I would say about this thing that they did at the end. So I thought that Braun Strowman was very good. I thought he cut 2 very good promos. I thought that Tyson Fury did a fine job. I thought that the pull apart that they did was good.
It was standard. It was standard. It's good.
I'm talking the first one here. I liked that the fans were into it, but the 2 things that stuck out to me were, number one, it's like, okay, we got it. They did a pull apart. They did like 10 pull aparts.
That's what they always do.
And after the 7th one, I was like, dude, I got it. Like, it's a pull apart. And they just kept doing it. And by the end, I was like, okay, I'm sick of pull aparts. Like, it was cool at the beginning. Now you've just run it into the ground.
But that's what they do.
I know that's what they do.
That's how they do every pull apart. And
it always goes on too long. Now,
well, here's the thing. Okay, you're right in this situation because it did get old. But in the past, this exact same pull apart would have gotten over. It's just a different fan base, it's a smarter fan base, and they see through it, so you can't do the same thing over and over again. Whereas before, if you do the same thing, the more you did, the more excited people would get.
Yeah, to a degree, but when Steve Austin and Mike Tyson had their pull apart, it was like there was a shove and they were pulled apart and that was it.
There was a lot more intensity, by the way, in Steve Austin and Mike Tyson, which is another difference. Steve Austin, it's one of the reasons Steve Austin ended up being what he was is because Steve Austin, it's like he was extremely intense. And one of the things, because I've talked to him about this, and it's like in his mind at that time, he was willing to fight Mike Tyson. in his mind, he convinced him. He's like Terry Funk. You convince yourself of it, and you're not a guy playing a role. You are actually you're actually living it. And these guys, in both cases here, they were two guys playing the role. I mean, there is a difference, and and almost everyone is. I mean, it's very few who really live it, but those guys who live it, those are the guys. Like Terry Funk's a perfect example. They bring a level of intensity that that in many ways makes a big difference.
Sure, but my point is, Austin and Tyson, it was one shove. They pulled them apart, and that was it. It was over. I mean, that was it. And yes, later, they do the pull apart, and then one guy breaks free, and the people go crazy, and that's the deal. But I mean, there's a limit to everything, and you would think that scripting 8 different dudes breaking away and going after the other guy, you'd think that on paper you would realize that was overkill. But my other issue was...
Look, after last night, to me, this is nothing. Last night, the last night's errors were so gigantic and glaring, and this is like just minor shit.
Sure,
you know what I mean?
But that's
in
a low
comparison.
bar. That's a low bar. Now, the other thing, this is the most important thing. So I'm liking this thing, and then like all these guys come out to pull them apart, and after like the 5th pull apart or whatever, Tyson Fury starts throwing punches, and like I don't think he hit one single person, and they all went down.
But they all fell down.
I know, but my point is,
I know he should have.
He didn't throw one good worked punch in this whole thing. Like he missed every single solitary one of them, and all I could think was, these two dudes are going to have a singles match.
Well, we don't know that, but that was the plan. Yes, that is the plan.
How in God's name is this going to be pulled off?
I cannot answer this, but there's 2 things. Number one, it's in Saudi Arabia, at least the plan is. So that's a very low bar. You don't have to be. Look. The last time they were in Saudi Arabia, we had the Undertaker and Bill Goldberg match. So it's like, crappy matches in Saudi Arabia go hand in hand together. I mean, we always have them. So, yeah, I guess it'll be a struggle. But you know what? I mean, Brock Lesnar and Kane, which I have a lot more faith in because obviously, but still, all we've seen of Kane is one tackle and punches and some lucha libre, which is exactly what they're not going to do in the match with Brock. So if you put those two on the same card, it's going to be like one of those New Japan cards from years and years ago when they were into bringing in the MMA guys, and you had MMA guys in really shitty pro wrestling matches.
So the show opened up with the recap of the Lana Lashley deal, and they cut to the ring, and Orton and Corbin are beating on Rusev. And he clears the ring, and then Lashley appears on the big screen. Lashley says, "You know what? I'm wearing your robe, Rusev. That means I'm at your house, and I'm in your room, and I'm in your bed, and I'm with your wife." And Lana walks in wearing a robe. She gets in bed. She says, "I own everything now. We no longer have joint checking accounts."
How do you pull that off? I guess you just do in wrestling, right?
Yes.
I mean, people have done that in real life.
Lashley says,
"That's so mean." But see, that's the whole deal. You've got guys writing this who like it's everything I said before. It's like that's what the pretty girl is is going to screw you at the end, and this is a storyline in that direction.
Lashley says you should have given Lana the money and not sent it back home to your family in Bulgaria. I'm like, she just said that he gave her money. She just took all the money. What are you guys talking about? And then she takes off her bra, shuts off the light. Corbin and Orton laugh at Rusev. Rusev wipes a tear from his eye, and then he beats up both dudes, lays him out with Mashka kicks.
Thank God he beat up both guys. He had to. He was
fixing to be killed here, but he beat up 2 men. So
no, he had to beat up.
Saved him there at the end.
Yeah. Because if he didn't do that, oh my God.
But seriously, what is this storyline?
Lashley sleeping with Lana, and Rusev and Lashley are going to have a match.
I know that.
Or matches.
But this is totally out of nowhere. All of a sudden, one week, they've had marital problems, and the next week, she's taken everything he's got? What?
They move fast.
Why is she with Lashley? Like, what's going on?
You're expecting me to answer questions about people's marital problems now?
I'm trying.
Oh my God.
Sometimes you come up with some sort of answer.
God, their marital problems. I honestly haven't thought about it. I just didn't even think about like why this would be happening. I don't know. It's probably that, they wanted them to have marital problems before, but she went and got engaged in real life in the middle of it and they had to stop the angle. So I guess they just got them on board. Man, I wish that like Rusev called me because I could have told him the percentages of this, and it's not a good idea.
No.
I went through this. I did a TV show once where we were doing this was the exact topic of how many people in wrestling get put into fake marriage breakups. And then what happens? They actually break up their marriage. I mean, it was just like one after the other after the other. It was like the only ones that like survive it are like the McMahons. I mean, everybody else, it actually ruins their marriage.
So then we had the Natty versus Lacey Evans last woman standing match. At least they didn't call it a women's last man standing match. That's an improvement. And this was the first of several matches that went 17 minutes here on the show.
Very long match.
They worked very hard. They tried very hard.
They worked very hard.
It went too long.
Agreed. The thing is
there was just too much counting.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of. I mean, WWE usually does last man standing matches really well, but I think on television, I like on pay-per-view, I usually like them, but on television, it's like hit and miss. Because, okay, when they do too many of these 10 counts where they're getting up. Now, wasn't there one, though? There was one where Natalya was down and they counted 10 and she didn't get up and they just pretended that she did, which was really weird. And then there was, because I remember the ref counted to 10. She never got up, and then he starts counting 1 again. So it's like, oh, I mean, I guess she was supposed to get up, and she just didn't, and they just start counting again. But so that was weird. But I think that when you got like commercial breaks and just things where they're not, you have the 10 count, but that it's not the finish. It can make the match drag in a lot of ways. But the one thing is that, the idea of the whole Natalya, Lacey Evans match after match after match was to improve Lacey Evans working with, like a real veteran. And, it's very clearly worked. She's so much better than she was like even 3 months ago, 2 months ago, even a month ago. So it's in that sense, this feud has been a positive. And I think it's over now, but God only knows.
Don't even.
Yeah.
They probably have to have one more straight wrestling match to blow this one off.
Well, maybe they have to give Lacey Evans a win somewhere in here because Natalya's been, was won the last 2.
So Natty gave her a sunset flip with a kendo stick, which was actually was a monkey flip with a kendo stick, which was a cool spot.
Yeah.
Trash cans, flips off the dasher boards, threw Natty into the half pipe a few times, and then finally they brawl into the announce table. Lacey gives her a suplex. Natty reverses it and then power bombs her off the stage through a very gimmick table and got the win. We have an Aleister Black promo. They've returned. He challenges anyone to knock on his door. He's an impatient man, as we found out later.
I think that this was like a tease for him coming to Raw.
Well, he was on Raw, but
yeah, that's what I mean. But he was a SmackDown guy. He hadn't been on Raw. He was but they're switching guys around, and he is a Paul Heyman guy. So I kind of figured like there's probably plenty of others, but the 2 Paul Heyman guys I know on SmackDown are Aleister Black. I mean, there's others, but Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy. And I could see, especially since when they were talking about the draft and the Street Profits, they brought up Buddy Murphy's name too. So I could see those guys come to Raw and get that. Aleister Black, will probably get a good push, and Buddy Murphy will probably get that 3-week push thing that, we always talk about, that then they end up like Mojo Rawley push.
So the Street Profits did their scouting report, plugged the Tyson Fury thing, showed clips from SmackDown. And then Charlie interviews Tyson Fury, and he says, well, I was just there to watch a match, but Braun threw Dolph into me. I shouldn't have jumped the rail, but tonight I want an apology. If Braun doesn't give it to me, he's going to get these hands. Hey, the Viking Raiders versus Ziggler and Rude non-title match. Another 17-minute match, our second in a row. The Raiders beat on them forever, like for 7 straight minutes. Then got the heat. Eric made a hot tag. Pretty cool. Pretty good comeback. Broke down into a 4-way. Heels hit a combo. Zigzag. Eric kicked out, and the Raiders finally hit the Viking Experience for the pin. So next week, tag title match.
Yeah.
The Viking Raiders.
I think in this case, it was booked along with the idea that you got, because, really the Viking Raiders are a really good team. And, Rude is a very good worker. Ziggler's a good worker. And I think it's the idea of trying to, put more emphasis into this tag team division by having them do a really long, great match. And, this crowd, it didn't really work for this crowd. They were not into these teams enough to go that long, and, it dragged. But I get the idea of why it was done this way. And like with Natalya and Lacey, on paper, it's too long. It was too long. I mean, even as hard as they worked and everything. But I think the feeling there is that for like last man standing type matches, if you go short, it's like really feels fake. And in this one, at least they went, you know what I mean? There was enough pounding and beating that you got like all those near things, and both had their times where they were beaten down and came up, and then finally, you finished it with that power bomb off the stage, so you finished it with something big. So I think that's the mentality behind the 2 long matches, but I did think that both of them would have been better 5 minutes shorter.
This person here, I'm sorry, I'm half asleep. Another Aleister Black promo. This person here, Aleister Black, says, I'm going down to the ring right now, and we're going to see who's going to pick a fight with me. Guess nobody knocked on his door. Ends up being Samir and Sunil.
No, wait, did they know ahead of time?
I presume so. They were in the ring.
I thought they were just in the ring because they had their gear and they had some trophy, like they won a Bollywood award or something.
Well, Aleister killed them, kicks, Dragon Sleeper variation. All I could think watching this was, I saw this exact same thing this summer and then it just ended. So hopefully they do something with the guy this time.
Yeah. Who knows?
SmackDown recap, and then Strowman's with Charlie. And he says, I was just trying to have some fun, but if Tyson wants to get all serious, so will I. They show the knockout punch of AJ, and he says, Tyson better ask for that apology nicely, because if he does, he might get one. If he doesn't, he's going to get these hands. By the way, hell of a medical team they've got. AJ Styles knocked out last night, didn't know where he was, didn't know his name, didn't know what day it was, what town he was in. He's wrestling tonight.
Well, they're like this is like a Roadrunner cartoon. There's no reality to this.
There's got to be some impact testing or something for this guy.
The only reality is when somebody's really hurt in real life. When they do fake injuries, look, how many times have we seen these guys just get remember Strowman was murdered in the back of or was it Sami Zayn? Which one got murdered in the back of the garbage truck?
I think Sami Zayn was the guy that got murdered.
Okay, so
him and Ramblin' Rabbit.
Oh, Ramblin' Rabbit gets murdered every week, but Strowman had at least one time where he was murdered. I remember that because he was back in 2 weeks.
Yes.
So I thought when AJ came out, I thought they were doing a tag match because I just figured that AJ's going to just be in the corner, but no, he wrestled, and in fact, he wrestled in a match where he sold nothing, he didn't act loopy or anything. It was just normal. It was he's a fast healer from concussions. I guess, I don't know, or the concussion didn't count.
We had a Ray promo, which I loved.
Super promo.
He says, it's weird, but in a way, I've never been prouder of my son. He took a beating like a man. For that, his physical scars will heal soon, but his emotional ones will take longer, and he's home now resting. He's asked, how you feeling a week after you were victimized by the beast? And he says, when men and women become parents, we vow to love and protect our children. I had to watch this disgusting bully Brock Lesnar maul my son. There was nothing I could do about it. I felt helpless. Felt like I led my son down, my family down. And who walks in when we're sitting there in the hospital? Cain Velasquez.
He was just wandering by in that San Diego hospital.
Oh, he knew about this. He sought them out. The man who took the UFC title from Brock Lesnar, the only man who can brag that Brock Lesnar fears him. If there is someone who will avenge what happened to my family, it is Kane.
He said Kane was Dominic's godfather.
This is awesome. This was great.
It was a great promo.
Absolutely great.
Yeah. So I figured out, since Jim Cornette's never going to Saudi Arabia and never going to WWE again as well, so I figured out who should be Kane's manager.
Well, it should be Ray after this promo.
No, Ray would actually be all right. Yeah, but I just think that you need somebody else besides Ray, although Ray was tremendous here. It should be Conan. I mean, because Conan will Conan, he does the dialect. I want someone, you'd need someone who can sell the reality. And I think Conan's the guy. And also go head to head in a verbal battle with Paul Lee.
We had another AOP promo. Razor talked about growing up in a war zone, having to fight for every scrap they brought home for their family. They grew up thousands of miles apart, came home with food every night because they have the will to take food from another man, from another man's family, and take it to theirs.
Man, so is it like really that bad in Vancouver?
Hey, no tag team in this company has this killer instinct running through their veins, but they do. We will take your food, we will take your money, we will take your careers. We have the will to do violence in WWE. That's why they are authors of pain.
Okay. I hope they wrestle soon.
Yeah. Lucha House Party versus the OC. Hey, listen, I loved it. Can we have a match like this every week? They just went out there, did a bunch of cool moves, had a good time, fun six-man, cut off Dorado after the break. I should note that at one point, the Lucha House Party was beating up all the heels 3-on-1, and this was not a disqualification. So, I don't know why it was last night. Kalisto makes a hot tag, Hurricane Run and DDT, another six-way. Goes for the Selena Del Sol. AJ hits the phenomenal forearm, gets the pin.
There was a spot where the Lucha House Party, all three of them went to the same corner. They all climbed to the top. One of them was on the post, and the other two were standing on the top rope, and they all did moonsaults to the floor.
Yep.
It was spectacular. And then I think they went right to the commercial, and I was thinking, like, God, I mean, shouldn't that, like, build momentum, and then they just take it away? I mean, what a great spot. And it didn't even get over nearly what it should have. I guess because I think that the audience is kind of conditioned that, okay, you do your dive, and then you go to dark and you do nothing because they go to the commercial. And so they don't pop for the dive or anything. So whatever, but it was really a spectacular spot. I like the finish. The last couple of moves there was
good.
With AJ and Kalisto.
It was a very fun match.
Yeah, it's the only really good match. It was the only good match on the show, really, though.
We had Miz with Becky and Charlotte, and talks about this and that, all these things they've done, the women getting each other's faces. Charlotte's offended that Miz says they're the two most dominant women, they should just be the most dominant. And he announces Kabuki Warriors versus Charlotte and Becky. Charlotte and Becky cut promos on each other, and this leads to the match. So it's Charlotte and Becky versus Kabuki Warriors. And
Kairi Sane is absolutely a heel.
Yes, and it's the most preposterous thing I've ever seen, like, in my life. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
I mean, that's all I could think of watching her out there. It's like she is the most natural babyface in the entire company, and she's out there trying to be a heel. I mean, even Asuka, like, when she's trying to be a heel, I find her so completely likable.
Both of them.
Because she's so freaking good and everything, but, I guess you need, Becky Lynch is the top babyface, so I guess you need heels. And after all these months since January, we're finally getting the Asuka and Becky Lynch payoff for that non-title.
I'm sure they remembered that.
They brought it up on the show. They absolutely do remember it. It was said.
This is ridiculous.
They brought it up.
This is preposterous.
Didn't you listen to the commentary? They made a point to tell you.
You think I listened to this commentary? You kidding me?
Not only that, Becky Lynch brought it up in her promo, too.
Give me a break. What? I mean, this all happened, but I mean, come on.
They're finally paying it off.
So they do this match, and it's pretty good. Asuka cut a promo. in Japanese, no translation, no subtitles. It was great. They do this match. Kairi sets her for the elbow. Becky cuts her off. All these near falls at the end. Charlotte knocks Asuka off the apron. Kairi chop blocks her. Becky puts Kairi in the disarmer, but the ref is getting rid of Charlotte. And then Asuka blows the mist. And Kairi rolls up Becky for the pin.
There's mist all over her mouth. There's mist all over her face.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's so silly.
So then Alexa and Nikki at the ring. They just destroy the Kabuki Warriors. I'm like, come on. They better be doing a three-way here, because...
I don't think they're... I think Charlotte and Becky... I mean, they may, but I just think Charlotte and Becky Lynch have, bigger fish to fry than these people. Although, obviously...
well, what the hell do they do this for, then?
Obviously, well, Asuka and, I'm sure they're going to go to Asuka and Becky Lynch, because Sasha Banks is out, so they need an opponent.
They have a recap of the Rusev segment. And then Charlie with Apollo Crews. She asks him about the draft. What do you want to improve in the match with the Ricochet, she says. It's an honor to be in the ring with him, someone I've really admired. The draft is not about admiration, it's about opportunity. This will be my showcase tonight.
And they wonder why these promos don't get people over.
Viking Raiders promo, challenging for next week. Ricochet promo. He says, if I get drafted to SmackDown, this might be the last time I wrestle on Raw. Paul is one of my best friends, not personal. But the draft is an opportunity for a fresh start. And I'm always looking to prove that superheroes can be real. And if you think I'm making that up,
what did I just
I'm
say
not.
about Apollo Crews' interview?
Oh my God, can they stop with this superhero thing? They're killing this guy. Nobody recognizes it. Actually, they probably all recognize it except Vince. But this is bad. It's bad.
Yeah?
Just let the guy be a superhero and never talk about it.
Well, I don't think he should be a superhero. Because
I'm just talking about, go out there and just be awesome. You don't have to come on TV and tell me you're a superhero, and you're here to prove that superheroes can be real. It's ridiculous.
Maybe he could wear a cape.
Oh, yeah, get him a cape. Put a mask on the guy.
We already saw him.
Give him a zip line.
We saw him with a mask before. He's better off without the mask.
Maybe not. You seen some of this stuff?
Well, he was more over in Lucha Underground, but still, he is better off without the mask.
Ricochet, Apollo Crews. After all these 17-minute matches, this got 4 minutes. And it's a 4-minute Ricochet, Apollo Crews match. It was fine for what it was, and then it was over. Ricochet won with the code breaker. And then finally, the Tyson Fury segment. Tyson comes out, talks about Braun. Braun comes out, says, I was just trying to have fun with you till you looked at me like you wanted a piece. When they were dragging you out, I was screaming, let him go, because you have no idea what I'm capable of. He says, I will literally eat you for lunch. He will not. That is incorrect. Braun Strowman will not literally eat Tyson Fury for lunch.
I think that's a figure of speech.
He said literally.
I know, but it's still...
He did not say figuratively, I will eat you for lunch. He said literally.
The script writers don't understand the English language.
Tyson says, Braun, you're lucky that they dragged you away. I'd have knocked you out. Braun says, no, you'd be on your back looking at the lights. Tyson says, I'm the heavyweight champion. How many titles have you won? They go face to face.
That is a good question. How many titles has he won?
Dude, he hasn't won the world title. I can tell you that much. He's probably won the U.S. title or something like that, but tag belts.
I just remembered this story once. Okay, so Bam Bam Bigelow was, this is like one of this great pro wrestling story. So Bam Bam Bigelow, was just making his debut in some nightclub, and it was on I don't remember, it was Entertainment Tonight or something. But Paul Heyman was actually his publicist, and he debuted him, and there's this 380-pound guy who's never wrestled before, and he's doing splashes off the top ropes, which back then was unreal. You know what I mean? Nobody had ever seen anything like it. And he's 6'2" and 380 pounds and tattooed head, got that great heel look. And I'm trying to remember who it was, but somebody in Mid-South was like, God damn, to Bill Watts, did you see that guy on Entertainment Tonight, 380 pounds, flying off the top rope? Right, we should bring him as a heel. And you know what Bill Watts said? Who's he beating?
Oh.
I was just thinking, what the fuck?
Well, to answer your other question, the only titles Braun Strowman has ever won in WWE are the tag team titles. and one of those was with Nicholas.
Yep. Yeah, that was a very short.
No U.S., no IC, no World, Money in the Bank, and he failed in his cash-in. Yeah, Tyson Fury should have brought all that up.
I don't think that Tyson Fury studied him enough. I think he just knew he never won the world title, and he knew he had.
So they brawl, break apart, brawl, break apart, brawl, break apart, brawl, break apart, punches, brawl, break apart. And finally, Braun leaves, and they cut backstage to Charlie. And Strowman actually cut a hell of a promo. That Tyson's a tough son of a bitch, but he's going to get these damn hands before it's over and done with. Then he rushes to the ring again. That was actually awesome. And that's how the show ended. I mean, I liked it. They just went to the well like 8 too many times. But overall, I thought it was good.
Yeah. I mean, look, that's the whole show was built around Braun Strowman and Tyson Fury, and you got something good at the end. And at least it paid off. It's going to be interesting. I mean, they had, they had NFL, they had baseball playoffs. There's a lot of opposition. They were coming off a god awful show. Although I don't know if that's going to hurt the rating. I mean, it's possible. I don't think it will. I mean, I think if the rating's down, I think it's more due to the competition. But yeah, as far as building up the next pay-per-view, they did sort of announce stuff, but it's like, are we going to go in another pay-per-view? Oh, it's way too early to say. But let's see, we got this week. So we got 14, 21, and 28. So we basically got 3 weeks of TV to come up with a card. And of course, as we've seen from last week, that doesn't mean we will come up with a card.
All right, what do we got for AEW and NXT this coming week?
NXT's announced Drew Gulak and Leo Rush for the Cruiserweight title, and Kushida against Walter, which actually should be really good. And then NXT, or AEW's announced 4 matches. Let's see, it's
got a number 1 contenders match. Actually doing a number 1 contenders match. It's Darby Allin and
Jimmy Havoc.
Jimmy Havoc, that's right.
Okay, so, man, it's. I mean, it might be good. I'm going to guess Darby Allin goes over just because I think that of the two, I think Darby Allin has the much better match of the two with Jericho, and that's the idea, is to have a good match.
Title match will be the following week.
Right, so that's going to be in Philadelphia. So that's who I would go with. I was really impressed with Darby Allin the last time when I saw him in Battle of Los Angeles, and even the time before. He's grown a lot as a performer. I mean, he does all kinds of crazy stuff. He's creative as all hell. He's small. He's really small, but after a while, you kind of get used to that, and it's not a negative at all. And yeah, I don't know. So we got that. We got what Goldust and Adam Page against. Was it Jericho? And
we got the Young Bucks versus Private Party AW Tag Team Title Tournament first round match.
Well, we'll see how good. Now they had a match in was it House of Glory Wrestling? I think it was, and it was a New York independent because I saw like the end of it, and it was really good. I mean, I think that match, Private Party's got those really cool high spots, and yeah, I think that should be all right.
Moxley, Sean Spears.
Well, hopefully we get good Tully Blanchard stuff.
And Jericho and Sammy Guevara versus Hangman Page and Dustin Rhodes.
Yeah. So that's fine. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
All right. So
I don't. So what's the gambling? Is it 1,300,000 and 825,000?
Let me grab them here. It's something very similar to that. Let's see. So the odds for Camby's odds for the TV ratings: Raw 2.45 million, SmackDown 3.60 million, AW 1.3 million, NXT 825.
I got it all right. So I think they're high on some of these ones. The draft might might keep SmackDown up. But it's hard for me to think that if The Rock did 3.88, that a draft would do 3.60. I just think The Rock is a lot more valuable. And not just The Rock. I mean, they announced, Steve Austin, Hulk Hogan. It's a lot of star power. I mean, the draft shows usually do well. But in recent years, they haven't done as well. Raw, coming off the pay-per-view, maybe. I don't think that NXT is going to do 825,000. Just feel that they threw everything in the world and got 891 last week. I just don't see it. I don't see it getting better at all. At least not this week. Not with Walter against Kushida as your big attraction.
All right, so Okada's not a contract signing.
Yeah, they did that today at Korakuen Hall. It was pretty, just normal stuff. Sonata just said that he's better to lead New Japan into the future. And not just New Japan, the entire pro wrestling business. He's better at doing this. And Okada kind of acknowledged that, Sonata pretty much talked about how he's getting cheered everywhere. And Okada was just like, we got to make wrestling bigger than the Rugby World Cup. So I guess the Rugby World Cup is really big in Japan right now because he brought that up in there. And, it was just, I thought standard fare. I didn't think it was great or anything. But when Okada talks, he's really smooth on the mic. Even in Japanese, you can really tell. Whereas Sonata doesn't say a lot, but he does put emphasis on the little bit that he does say. But Okada's a pretty smooth talker. He's gotten there and, so. But, did that. Then in the main event, it was Okada and Ibushi again losing to Evil and Sonata when, again, Evil pinned Ibushi. So that's twice in 2 weeks that Evil has pinned Ibushi clean going into their singles match next Monday.
All right, so the match is, in fact, taking place. Tito Ortiz, Alberto El Patron, December 7th, Hidalgo, Texas, 210-pound catch weight. It's a real fight. At least that's what they're billing it as. I presume it will be a real fight.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be. The one that really surprised me is that they're putting it on pay-per-view. Because Combate, they at least had a deal with DAZN. As far as I know, they still have a deal with DAZN. Although I just read the press release for their upcoming cards, and they don't mention DAZN. They only mention Univision and Univision Deportes. So maybe, I don't know. I'm just surprised, after the Liddell and Ortiz thing bombed so badly on pay-per-view, it's kind of like I believe that Tito Ortiz and Alberto, if you put it on primetime on Univision, will do a huge television number. Huge. But on pay-per-view, I don't feel it at all. Plus, it's like, I don't know. Alberto's 42, and he hasn't competed in anything in 9 years. And God only knows what he's done to himself in those 9 years. And Tito's 44, and he's got all kinds of injuries. So, it's like, I don't even know how this stuff gets cleared. They will, but it's just kind of like, after that Liddell fight, it just was like, how did these guys get, how did Liddell ever get cleared? That was the Liddell fight was downright criminal. I don't think that these guys, at least their hips aren't shot and they can probably move a little bit, but still, like, fighting is really not for 42-year-old rich people. Even if they were good athletes when they were young, it's just really not for them.
All right, let's jump into the mailbag at WrestlingObserver.com. This person here says, TBS has 2 MLB playoff games scheduled October 9th, tomorrow.
Wednesday, yeah.
One starts at 5:02 Eastern, the other at 8:37 Eastern. Will AEW be preempted for the 8:37 game if the 5:02 Eastern game is not finished on TBS by 8:30? I ask because I've been watching the MLB playoffs on TBS, and when they have a game that is going long and another game that is supposed to start airing soon, the later game airs on TNT till the game on TBS is finished.
Mm-hmm. I don't have an answer to that. I can ask. My gut is they've put a lot of emphasis on it, and they can always move it to True TV and not to TNT, because there's a lot of emphasis on AEW. But I do not know the answer right now. I will. I can certainly ask in the morning and see if I get a definitive answer. But I don't know.
This person says, in Dave's opinion, what will it take for AEW to get ratings similar to Raw? And do you see Raw and AEW ever going head to head?
I mean, there's always a possibility, but I don't see it for one reason, and that is that Tony Khan will never go on a Monday because of football season, not because of WWE. As far as getting ratings, I mean, they got to get hot. That's they got to get hot. Raw's got to get colder. I mean, I don't rule anything out as possible. The thing, again, it's just a very interesting thing, like AEW, I mean, week 2 and 3 we'll get a better idea because, it could go way, way down after week 1. It could be that a bunch of people sampled it because I even know people who watched AEW, and I don't think that they're going to watch it each and every week. I think they watched it because it was the first show. They were curious about it and they liked it. But just because you like it doesn't mean that you're going to change your habits and watch 2 hours of wrestling on Wednesday night. Some people will. But by week 3, I think we're going to have a pretty decent idea of if this thing stays at the same level, and maybe it'll grow. I mean, it from the ratings pattern in week 1, it would indicate that it would go down. It would basically indicate it's going to go down with people over the age of 35, and it's going to go up with people under the age of 35. That's the pattern. That doesn't necessarily mean that it will play out that way. But I mean, if they go up and Raw goes down, if they get somebody really hot, if WWE burns out its audience with too much TV, who knows? I mean, I don't expect it anytime soon, but I mean, the reality is that the rating that they did between 12 and 34, it did not beat Raw this last week because of Hogan and Flair, but it beat Raw every other week, since months ago. So in that one demo, they're already, you can almost say that they're already ahead, but I hesitate to use that term because, that demo may go down greatly on Wednesday this week. If that demo stays at the same level this week and next week, then I would go and say that if they went head to head with Raw, they would beat it under 35. They would get killed over 35. But that's an amazing, just me saying that alone is amazing.
Person here says, from what I've read in various books and interviews over the years, Jim Barnett sounded like someone whose life story would make for a fascinating book or movie. Has anyone ever considered writing one about him?
Oh, you know the story, right?
The story of the movie of his life?
No. It's like Jim Barnett spent years trying to get me to write a book with him, and I was too busy.
See. Yes.
We always talked about it. And he was like, you realize that when I die, all these stories are going to go because nobody knows them. That's why I tried to listen as much as I could. But, I mean, we didn't sit and write a book. But, he was really good friends with Gary Juster. But I don't know anyone else that he was so close that you could write. I mean, I think that, it wouldn't, if a true story of Jim Barnett's life would actually be really fascinating, but I don't know that anyone knows enough to know that story. I mean, I know a lot, but there's a lot about him that I don't know too. But yeah, I do think that as as a story, it would be, the whole thing with Australia and just how he got into wrestling and became a power broker and then the prejudice against him and the fact that he was an absolute cutthroat. He was when the NWA had that wrestling war with Ann Gunkel, they called him frickin' Jim, this sweet, guy who feels like he wouldn't hurt a fly. And this guy was a vicious, manipulative, dirty trick guy. And then he led Vince for that first couple of years until him and Vince had the falling out. And he was the guy who who basically built Vince's original syndicated network, because Jim knew every frickin' program manager. And, I don't know if he didn't really know everyone, but he knew a lot of them. So yes, I do think Jim Barnett would make a very fascinating movie for sure. Maybe, and then just the Jim Barnett parties. I've read about stuff like that. I've never spoken to him about it, but he would have those orgies with the college athletes and everything. Yeah, what a freaking crazy ass story some of those things were. Especially like in this day and age, I don't think people would ever believe. Even the stuff I know, if you actually put it in a movie, nobody would buy that any of it was true, but it actually was. So yeah, he would be an interesting character for sure.
Spread here says, do you think they're going to do Brock versus Roman again for WrestleMania 36?
No idea. I don't have a feeling of where they're going for WrestleMania right now. I kind of think no, just because it's been done a lot, but man, I don't know who's out there. I mean, they could do Kane. Do a 1-on-1. You do Saudi Arabia. Kane gets the surgery, comes back. But if Kane gets the surgery, I'm not sure he's back. If he gets full reconstructive surgery on that knee, let's see. Let's say he gets it in November. He's missing Mania for sure. Not even a chance. So he's, maybe he can get minor surgery and be back. Maybe. Who else is there? For Brock. Seth has been done. Who's a rising star? Isn't there a rising star?
That was a funny one.
Like Ricochet or something?
Come on, are you kidding me?
I don't know.
Who's a rising star in WWE right now?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Man, that sucks.
I guess the closest you could even come up with is Bray.
Yeah, you know what? You could actually turn Brock babyface and go with Bray. I think WrestleMania is actually too early for that, but I do think that maybe
the other way around. Bray is already practically a babyface. Every time Seth was about to beat him, people went nuts, booing Seth.
I know, but style wise, Brock should be the babyface against Bray. The way that at first,
not if he's going to be crying.
Well, I could. This is what I can guarantee you. I will guarantee
Brock's not
you.
Crying.
Brock isn't crying, and Brock's not cowering in the corner, and Brock isn't going down like Braun Strowman did either. When it comes to those things, Brock will not do any of that stuff. That's the one thing with Brock. Brock whether he's a babyface or a heel, Brock will only go so far for the team. Brock is not going to when it comes to Brock and Vince, people hate this. When it comes to Brock and Vince, Brock is the one who calls the shots, not Vince. And Brock can get away with anything. And a lot of people hate hearing that. At the end, it's still Vince's company. But Brock is not doing anything Brock doesn't want to do. Every program, when he loses, it's because he wants to lose. That's just how it is. It's an interesting thing. But I do think Brock and Bray Wyatt is done correctly with a correct build-up. Not soon. That should be Bray should be going through a couple people first. But they could. I think Mania's a little early, but you could do that match. You absolutely could do that match for Mania. That's possible.
Spurs here says, I've noticed TNT has been replaying AEW. What do you think of them replaying it against Raw or SmackDown?
No, against Raw. Not against Raw, because Tony Khan's very clear that he doesn't want to do anything against the NFL. So
no, he's saying just that they're airing replays.
No, but I don't think he wants.
He doesn't even want to replay against it.
No. He doesn't want anything that make the NFL owners mad that they're siphoning off.
I see.
He's got to work with those guys. So no, I don't. Now SmackDown is a Friday. Could they do a replay on Friday? Yeah, sure, they could.
I don't know how many. I think they're doing a lot of replays now because it's a new product. I don't know. Like I heard like the first 2 weeks there's going to be a lot of replays, but after that, I mean, there will be replays, but I don't know how regular and what kind of regular time slots they're going to be in. It just really depends on. It depends on Kevin Riley and TNT and what they think and everything. Because right now, the idea of replaying them all over the place is to have people who are kind of like casually turning the dial and kind of see this and then become. They're trying to get it a lot of exposure in slots where people will see it, so they can make new fans with the product. I mean, that's what the thing is right now, is making new fans.
All right, everybody. On that note, we're going to wrap it up for today. We've done shows. I mean, if you consider both me, Garrett, and Dave, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and today. So plenty of Wrestling Observer Radio over the last...
Then we're back Wednesday.
Yeah, we'll be back Wednesday with more. There's new Observer up. There's a million other shows, Bryan and Vinny shows, Observer Lives. Head up there and check those out as well.
So what are you doing Friday?
We'll talk. Dude.
I'm gonna be in Vegas, but I'm gonna be at SmackDown Live.
Really?
On Friday night. Oh yeah.
Well, we'll figure something out.
I mean, yeah, definitely.
Somebody will do something on Friday.
Yeah.
Probably will end up.
I mean, it's an early show. It's 5 to 8. They tell me there will be a 205 Live after SmackDown this week.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay for it. I'm gonna be there to the bitter end. Well, 205 Live usually has good action. I'll like it, but yeah.
All right. Well, we'll figure that out, everybody.
Shouldn't have said I was going to be in Vegas.
Well,
for the show, but I am.
There you go. Dave's going to be in Vegas, everybody. Now you know. And we're out of here. We'll talk to you again after a while.